What is up, everyone? Hope you had a great week of trading and a great weekend. It is time to get the projections for the week and review what happened last week. We're going to start going back and starting on the weekly chart and then going backwards or down in time just to really get the big picture idea of what the market is moving and make sure we are lined up as we scale down time frames. So let's review last week, and let me pull this over here before I delete it. So I already got it set up for this week, but this is last week's data, and we wanted it to come down and then shoot up past this. And if we look, I got to go to a lower time frame. Came down to that 4 hour value gap and broke past this strongly, almost to a T. Exactly everything respected. This was a little hard to trade just because of the giant wick. My setup would have got taken out, and now we're looking for like a retest back here, but we'll break it down. So let's go back to the week, and you can see we already broke this week's high. We broke a few weeks ago. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 8 weeks ago we broke that, or 7. Sorry, I can't even count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 weeks ago's high we broke through, which was an equal high to this one back here. So I do believe we are going to go into this liquidity void up here eventually. Might get a little wick to fill in this gap, go down to that fair value gap we have, and then continue up is what I am thinking the markets are going to do. So let's break this down. So removed all the drawings. We're going to put our daily high and low as always, but we say they're daily buy side liquidity and daily sell side liquidity, basically high and low. But think about it. If you took a trade here, your stop loss maybe would be under this wick, or you would trail it up to that. Maybe your stop loss was originally down here and then you trailed it up. So maybe price comes down back into this gap, into this fair value gap, and then we continue up. That is what I think price would do in the beginning of the week, or maybe it's just setting it up for next week. And if that's the case, probably some buy side and then finish down here in the sell side. Put the daily fair value gap. The wick did go into it, so we're going to keep it a little shorter, and we'll refine it in the lower time frames. I'm just getting my pictures ready. And then we have the equals, which we already took out, so I don't need to mark that up anymore. What I do need to put back in is this void where no body has been. I want to go to the body, not the wick. There we go. So we'll put that in. All right, so that is going to be our daily picture right there. All right, and then before we go down in time frame, just want to reference all three together now. Let's go back to the daily. Got those relative equal highs right here, which maybe I could copy it down here. Perfect. So we want to break through this area now. Fair value gap we could take out. Maybe it acts as support. We fill in this little gap and then push up higher. These ones got taken out, so that's fine. A little pullback, and then we're going to target these areas next. And in the Dow Jones, it has not pushed up here, so just kind of flatlined for a bit where these were trending up. We'll see what that hints at us, but so far so good. I'm not worried about anything. The main two I do follow anyways are these two, putting them against each other. So these are showing bullish signs, and this liquidity area is near and we could hit. So now back here, let's go to the 4 hour, and you can see on the 4 hour fair value gap's just a little bit different. We did tap into it a little bit and then went up and then back down. So I do believe we're going to go through the sell side and go deeper into this. I am going to switch it to the 1 hour, even though we don't screenshot the 1 hour. But I know I know on the 1 hour, if we come down into this area, looks a little more something we could work with, as these kind of got filled in on the upper part. This one got filled in here. When you look down, we still have room on the downside, which would line in with us taking that sell side into the fair value gap and then pushing back up. So let's put this in for a statement. There's our bias. And I'm going to change this to the 1 hour because it is set up for the 1 hour, but I want to go back to the 4 hour just so we have a bigger picture of what's going on in the market. And we could even measure that as well if you want to measure that move. Went into that 50%, back up to premium, back to right at discount, went up a little bit. And then we went down, back in a discount, kind of pulled back a little bit. So with how much price has moved up here and got not rejected, but came back down into this area, I'm not saying this is resistance. I'm saying it was trapping buyers. We're going to hit the sell side. Once these people get in on the sells, we're going to turn around and go back and punish them. And everything's checking out so far and lining up. So we're going to stick with this bias. I feel strong about that. And let's take a picture for our 4 hour. All right. So that's our E-mini S&P markup, our projections. We're going to go to the dollar and euro and the EU. And you could see last week, what did we say? Go up in this liquidity void. It pushed but did not get there. It was reaching for it. It faked us out and turned it around. And if you think about it, because of the gap, if we do go down to the body, I'm probably going to have to zoom in. Let's see. If we do go to the body, not the wick, and then move that to the body, there we go. Right at it, it tapped. And then fell off heavily through that gap down. We could take out this buy side liquidity now. We already know it punished that. I want to drag that liquidity void out. I think we're heading down to this area now. And in the long run, coming down to these zones, which we've had on our charts for a long time. And look at dollar right in that order block through sell side liquidity and back up. So we're just looking at the daily chart. What do I think is going to happen early week before we go into EU? It's going to fill this in, and I believe it's going to come back into this gap. So if we zoom in, this order block, we could just move over here. It's kind of already did its purpose, but I just want it there for reference that it did play out to what we looked for. But if we go into here, this liquidity void, or it was, but went through. We only offered selling through here, so I believe we're going to come back in here to get some buy orders and then continue back down. So we'll look for this as a type of resistance. Basically, we want price to come back in here. Wicks could come through here, but I would like to see the body stay inside here and then carry down maybe into this gap right in here, or down into the liquidity void, which would be our long-term. Or not really long-term. It could play out in a week if you count the candles. This kind of a move could definitely happen. Then we have this order block here. We have this gap again. Offered buys through that gap. Not much selling, so we got to get back down there to make everything happy. And then if we look at the dollar chart, it's kind of lines up in the exact same fashion. These should be synced. I don't know why they're not syncing. Anyways, if you look in here, we got another gap. And if we put that in, I need to change this color to a red. If we put that in down here, we got the same type of setup, just reversed. We want price gap through here. It only had sell. Gap through with the buys. We're going to come down, then offer some buys again, and carry back up. So our bias on this one, down and back up. So with these biases we have, I'm going to take a picture, but with these biases we have, we're going to want to see EU want to go up first and then down. So we'll look at that in a second. Screenshot this. All right, so now onto the EU. We'll go to our daily chart. So our bias, what did we say? We want it to go up and then down. Well, we have this fair value gap on the daily chart down here. Let's move our buy side and sell side. And we filled that daily fair value gap perfectly. Look at that. Body's respected. Wicks went through it. That is perfectly okay. And we want it to go up. Well, I'm looking at this candle right here. We had a high, lower low, higher high, and then pierced through it. So this candle right here, I'm looking for as support. So this whole area I would like price to come into and then show us we want to go down into this daily fair value gap. So chart is syncing up with our bias on the euro. So we go back to it, come up, back down, down and up, which is all in line with going up and down. And that's our daily. Let's go down to the 4 hour just to see what's going on. Maybe we could dial in a little tighter, but I like that buy side, sell side. We have this gap in here which lines up into this area. So can we see price come up into here? Before we start heading to our bias direction going down. So let's take that daily picture and then the 4 hour picture, and then we'll wrap up the bias. And then the 4 hour, and I'm only swinging EU because my focus is on the E-mini S&P for day trading. So I'm going to set an alert up around 50% of this wick. And then just say EU trade or EU price near trade setup. Get ready. So I don't even have to look at this chart. As soon as that alert goes off, I know this is my trade. Put the position in here, stop loss up here, just so you guys could see, get a little more out of it this week. I would put it just a little higher than that sell side just in case it does want to come all the way back up with like a wick. So I'll put it up to this body's candle. Now, I could be wrong and it could come all the way up to this fair value gap, but I don't believe so with what our bias is. And then we would take it down into here. So 2.33, not bad for something that I don't even pay attention to. And because it is a swing trade, once price gets set up and then rejects and comes back through out down here, we could trail that stop loss to break even or even in profit depending on what price offers us. So for swing trades, that's all I'm doing. I'm just slowly rolling my personal account, not really being aggressive with it, because as I deposit more money, the positions will get bigger and these swing trades will be more profitable. So make the money on the E-mini, long-term investment, slow growth, and then as well as my long-term investment accounts with indexes and mutual funds and all that stuff. So that's kind of like my machine where my money kind of slowly moves into long-term steady growth and then just keep building that snowball, and hopefully everything plays out and the stock market doesn't just drop to zero and everything goes to poop. But anyways, this is our outlook for this week, our projections and reviews of last week. We were pretty much spot on last week. Hopefully our biases play out this week and we get that bag. So if you haven't already, click that thumbs up, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well, and Twitter. And can't wait to connect with you all. Peace.